Okay, I tried doing this in a few ways. I think it just comes down to you're gonna do it a different way depending on your situation, and I believe Alpha Z Omega is probably correct in the way they're explaining it for this situation. I don't think there's a better way. I tried doing it different ways, and it just made things complex. And I think we just need to take it to its more basic form so it's not overwhelmingly confusing. So this screenshot that they show is what you need to do, right? Obviously, the steps are not presented to you, so you need that shown to you. So I'll just take the lead from there, and I'll show that, and then I'll probably make additional videos to expand on different ways you would do that. So yeah. Okay, so obviously, if you just do this, this won't work for you. He left out, or they left out a ton of steps. So obviously, if you just, we're going to apply edit polygon here, so we can use the relax feature. And so if we just make a selection like he's shown in the screenshot, or they show in the screenshot, and we just relax it, then we're going to get this. And even if we go into here and we toggle this up or we change the settings, it just looks like bad, right? So it's basically all sunken in, and that's the opposite of what you want. This is what, obviously if you try that, that's exactly what you're going to get. So let's go through the steps. So let's undo this. I deleted that modifier. We're going to apply a new one. So now it's now fresh. And what we want to do is basically we're going to lift this area up and then basically relax back down. So I'm going to turn this shading mode to performance so that we don't have all this color and stuff interfering with what we're doing. I need to make sure that this area around the neck is stable. So I noticed that there's a tear on the back, so I'll just quickly deal with the tear. What we want to do is use the snap tool to just kind of do this quickly. It's the fastest way. So what I'm going to do is right click on here, and I want to make sure that the vertex mode is enabled. Okay, and then I'm going to close this, and I'm going to left click. It's going to depress, and I wanted to make a selection with my move selection, which is W, and just connect that with the other vertex, or the closest one. In this case, we are missing a vertex, so I need to make one. So I'm going to exit snap mode. I'm going to right click to access the quad and access cut mode. Now everything that's in the quad you can access through here in the, I guess, the rollout options. And somewhere you're going to see cut in here. I think it's there. But it is quicker just to use the quad. So I'm going to go to cut, and I'm going to get a special icon when I hover over things. So I want to basically make a connection between this vertex to my edge. And I'm going to get that icon. I'm going to click left click, and it's going to make that selection. Now, as you can see, as you're just moving around, it's going to continue cutting. To exit, you have to right click to exit, and then right click a second time to exit the cut mode. And it should finish. Now we just have this new vertex, and we want to set it up there. So same thing, snap, select, grab, and then connect. And that should fix that. Now the seams around here are not perfect. I noticed that some of them are a little bit, a little out of tolerance there, like this area here. The game is not like an 8K game, so I doubt anybody is going to notice that because your character is literally like this big on the screen, so they're not going to notice it. But if those things are, something that just annoys you, then obviously go around and fix that, okay? Doing it like that is probably okay in this situation because, they've already done most of the work here anyway, and so I only have to fix like 3 vertices, right? Now, if I was dealing with a head mesh that had maybe like, I don't know, like 1,000 vertices around the head, then I would pick a different approach. But in this case, it's okay. Anyway, I might fix that. It doesn't really matter. Close enough. Okay. I'll zoom back out of there. And so now we have to fix the other problem, which are the seams. So the seams will affect our welding and soft selection. So for example, I'll show a soft selection here. Let's see, I'm gonna grab this area. Actually, it might not affect the soft selection, yeah, but it will definitely. Yeah, it might not. I'm not too sure. I think it will affect the soft selection, but I'm probably mistaken. Yeah, if we did a different type of soft selection, then it would probably affect it like that one. Yeah, but anyway, regardless, I want to weld any of the seams on the model. So what I'm going to do is show you the seams first. We're going to go to border mode, and I'm going to select all, and you're going to see all these edges. These are representing the open edges. That's where we have a seam break, which means that if I pull the poly from that area, you can see there's a break there. So I want to get rid of those so that when we do any of these mesh operations, that's not affecting anything. So I'm going to select all the vertices, okay, and in here is going to be a weld. I don't know. We're just going to right-click, go to the quad. Now, it's not a good idea to get too used to the quad because in Blender, there is no quad. You're forced to use buttons and hotkeys on the interface. So if you get used to using this, you're probably gonna adapt better to Blender. The quad, even in Maya, has I forget what they call it in Maya, but it's centered around this menu that keeps popping up in the center, and you work from that. So this is a bad practice if you want to get into Blender, I would say. But anyway, we're just gonna do this. So weld. We're gonna use a small factor, and if we have to, we move up higher. So 0.001. Apply that to everything. I'm going to check to see if we have any more seams. Alright, so we do have a seam. There's something, looks like a missing polygon over here. It's so friggin' random. And then, of course, the neck. So I'm going to fix this, which should not actually be a problem, but it obviously is. Oh, okay. So these polygons are like flipped or something? I don't know. Let's just flip them back. Flip. Weld. Border. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we have the seam more defined. So that means it's only where the cuts are, like, where there's no geometry, basically, so that's good. So we don't have these like weird seams or breaks like along the leg and stuff. So that's good. That's what we want. And then we just wanna change the the polygons around here. Just raise them a little bit up higher before we do the smooth. So poly selection is probably best. So we're just gonna select around this region, and we want to deselect some areas. So I'm gonna select this, and I'm gonna hold and left click and hold, and it's gonna give me a selection. So for me, I would probably pick the freeform selection. And if we hold Control and left click and drag, that's going to create our selection. So I can keep holding Control and making more selections. So I'm going to undo this. In our case, I've already pre-selected this, so I'm going to hit Alt, and then, hold Alt, hold left click, and then I'm going to drag around. That selection is going to deselect. Okay, and so I'm going to deselect the areas that I choose not to raise. So probably around here, and probably around here, probably that. Yeah, that's a good start. Yeah, and then we can't affect any region around the neck, because that'll be a problem. So we're gonna just unselect around here. And this is a tricky selection, so you just have to be careful. Of course, I think I want that selected. Come on. Alright, so we're getting there. So, looks like I goofed up there. This is not very clean, I know it is, but I think we got it pretty close. When I say it's not clean, I mean the topology. It looks like really rough around here. There's not even edge flow around. But anyway, let's just not talk about that because that's a different thing altogether. But anyway, let's just clean this up a little bit more. Yeah, actually, no, that's good. All right, and then from here, we're in a good position to just move this up. I think we need to add a little bit more volume this way. And then now we have a good starting point to do this. The relax. Relax is going to cause a little bit of pulling in or collapsing around these areas, so this will get cleaned up in the wash. So I would enable the soft selection, and the soft selection is going to give you more gradual smooth or relax around these edges. And then basically we just go into the dialog here. Okay, and we can then kind of just play with the settings. So we can increase this all the way up, and we can see that a little bit more like that. Now, because the polygon selection is kind of matting, let's hit cancel. It actually might be better to do a vertex selection. So we only did the poly selection to kind of give us the volume that we wanted. We could have did the vertex selection, but with the polygons, it gives us a good idea because we can see it very clearly in red. But now that we've already kind of puffed things up, you might actually want to go back to vertex mode and make that selection because it's going to be a little bit more cleaner. And then we can just increase from here, create that gradual relaxation across that entire area or region. So let's try that instead, and we might get a better result. So again, I'm going to click on the dialog here, and it can then allow us to kind of toggle with some of the settings. Okay, let's see. All right, so I am actually happy with this selection. So I'm going to hit commit. Okay, and I'm going to click out of. Actually, I'm going to turn off soft selection. Yes, off, and then we can get out of here. All right, so let's click off here, and I'm going to get out of edge mode. So if you don't know how to go in and out of edge mode, it's just F3 and F4 takes in and out of wireframe mode and stuff like that, just so you know. But anyway, so now we're in this view. We can see the seam is still obviously there, which is not what you want. Now the body has some kind of edit normal modifier on here. So this stack arrangement we don't want. This is rather bad. So you actually do want to take a couple steps around this to make sure this is good. So I would probably clone this. I would call this, we'll just call it new. I don't know how the exporting thing works. The name probably matters. I don't do the modding stuff. I don't know how you guys MaxScript works. I'm assuming you guys have some sort of dependency on the name. So that's your thing. I don't know how that works, but for convenience sake for me, I'm just going to name this. I'm going to call it new. And I want to collapse this entire thing. Okay, so I'm going to just collapse it. And depending on what your requirements are, you might have to convert that into something a little more usable, so like editable mesh. Like, why is this, oh, wait. I just noticed that when I collapsed this, I got jaggies again. That's really weird, actually. Let me try that again. Copy. Okay. That is actually really weird. It really undid everything. I'm at a lost word for that. Lost words for that. I'm not actually sure why it's doing that. Yeah, it's like the modifier is not working. Let me try this. I copy this, and I'm gonna paste this on top. That's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. All right. There's something weird going on here, so I think what I would do is probably clone this and do it in the opposite direction. So what I'm noticing is like this is a flat seam, but when I'm doing the clone, something's happening and it's not transferring all the changes I made on a clone, which is weird. But anyway, it doesn't particularly matter. All we want to do is basically salvage the weights, so I'm going to delete this anyway. So that's going to be the original form of the mesh anyway, and then we'll just do it reverse. Okay, so I have this selection that has the correction on it, and then I would collapse this one here. Okay, and okay, you would convert this to whatever you need. Probably editable mesh is good for your situation. Just ensure you do another weld just to make sure. It should be okay because you went from poly to edit to mesh. That means poly to tris. But anyway, so now we just want to apply the skin wrap to it. Skin wrap. You're gonna make the settings probably. I'd probably use face deformation with no fall off. You just want to take the exact weights that are in that area, and then just have it just pull the weights that way. And then you're just going to apply this or add the weights from the mesh in the background there. But I'm going to do both, so I'm going to hit the name selection here, and I want to get probably wow, what's going on here? Why is there so many meshes? What? Why are there so many meshes in here? Alright, we'll just add it manually because I am effing confused. So I'm going to click on the body in the background. It's going to take time to adapt that. And then I'm going to click the head. And it's going to do the head here. And then I'm going to click on this again, left click on it, and it's going to become uncompressed or whatever. And then that should be good. And that should have the weight, so we're going to convert that into skin. And it's just going to take a second or a minute. There we go. And it creates that skin for us. So now this is corrected. Okay, and that could be exported to whatever. We can now delete the skin wrap. We can just get rid of the clone that I had made in the background, which is this one. And then this is the final result that we have. Now, oh yeah, you're probably still looking at the seam there, right? For this, we would just apply a edit normals here, okay? And I probably just decrease this so it doesn't look like a porcupine. And the easiest way to deal with this is to export both the head and the body at the same time, but that might not be a thing that you're trying to do. But I would just select this region and just, show this a little bit better here. And I would just weld this area like that. And that would create I would remove that seam. Now, you actually might not be trying to export the head. So in that case, it's a little bit more tricky. You have to select this normal here, and you have to copy it, and then go back to the other one, and then click on that one, and then hit paste, and you can see that it pastes it. Probably if you were, competent with scripting, you could just make a script. It'd probably take you maybe an hour to do something like this. It's simple, but it's also complicated. I could explain it, but it's a little complicated. Basically, each one of these normals is put in a list, and that list does not correspond to the vertex. It corresponds to an edge to your face. So linking them is not so simple. You would have to do some computation to calculate that, and then set that up in a program that's going to be stable. But it's doable to do that. I think I did that before. I don't want to write it again. But you would basically copy and paste that all the way around the seam, okay? And I don't know if Alpha is so proficient with Max scripting, maybe they can make a program for you guys to do that auto stitch there. Because it would take a while to make a script, but yeah. Anyway, you would just go around, and that would eventually copy the normal from the head, and then you could paste it on the neck that way. and then you don't have to export the head again. You just export the body, and it will marry, well, it should marry correctly with no seam at that point. So, I'm not going to do all that. Of course, it's going to take forever. But anyway, that would be, I guess, how I would do that for that instance of setting that up. And of course, following Alpha's advice. Of course, there's different ways you would want to be doing it to give yourself more creative freedom. But I think within the confines of these scenarios, that's probably the best way to do it. Okay, and I'll make a video on some other scenarios as well. But for this one, I think that's probably the best course of action. Okay, all right, thanks for watching.